Yeah, hoorah. Hoorah, hoorah. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the MeaningWave Morning Show. It's the MeaningWave Morning Show. Because it's a beautiful morning to be alive here at the peak of recorded human mornings. That's why. Yeah. That's why. Da, da, da. Da, da, da. Good morning to everybody locked in already. Welcome. Look at you getting up and getting after it. Boy, everybody else. Walking Mole, Poet, Twitchero Alex, Melinda Cross, Blackrock Beacon, Cosmic Kangaroo, RB1234. What up, family? Ross, Rud the Cajun, Quackaroni. You are the real MVPs. Your ancestors are proud of you.
Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Do not do things that you hate. Act so that you can tell the truth about how you act. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. If you have to choose, be the one who does things instead of the one who is seen to do things. Pay attention. Assume that the person you are listening to might know something you need to know. Listen to them hard enough so that they will share it with you. Plan and work diligently to maintain the romance in your relationships. Be careful who you share good news with. Be careful who you share bad news with. Make at least one thing better every single place you go. Imagine who you could be, and then aim single-mindedly at that. Do not allow yourself to become arrogant or resentful. Try to make one room in your house as beautiful as possible. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Work as hard as you possibly can on at least one thing and see what happens. If old memories still make you cry, write them down carefully and completely. Maintain your connections with people. Do not carelessly denigrate social institutions or artistic achievement. Treat yourself as if you were someone that you are responsible for helping. Ask someone to do you a small favor so that he or she can ask you to do one in the future. Make friends with people who want the best for you. Do not try to rescue someone who does not want to be rescued. And be very careful about rescuing someone who does. Nothing well done is insignificant. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Dress like the person you want to be. Be precise in your speech. Stand up straight. Stand up straight. With your shoulders back. Don't avoid something frightening if it stands in your way, but don't do unnecessarily dangerous things. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Do not transform your wife into a maid. Do not hide unwanted things in the fog. Notice that opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abdicated. Read something written by someone great. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. Do not bother children when they are skateboarding. Don't let bullies get away with it. Write a letter to the government. You see something that needs fixing and propose a solution. Remember that what you do not yet know is more important than what you already know. Be grateful. In spite of your suffering.
Perfect.
Hey. All the undo, carry the news. 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 Hey. Oh. What's up, baby? Get after it season.
Perfect.
How you feeling today? We are going in. It's the MeaningWave Morning Show. We do this every morning. Every morning. No days off. Why? You know why. What's on the other side? What's on the other side of that MeaningWave Morning Show? Greatness.
He once said that if
If you were growing up in this generation, that you would have a field day because you would take their souls. What did you mean by that?
The younger generation quits. Not everybody. So I gotta put it. People get their butt hurt. So not everybody. Most of this generation quits the second they get talked to. It's so easy to be great nowadays. Most people are weak. This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it, but still do it. And I hate to run. And what makes me so crazy, people go, well, why do you run if you hate it? What are you talking about? I don't want to take showers and eat either. I hate that too. That's life, man. It wasn't until I changed that mentality that I became somebody. I hated going to school, so guess what? I was dumb as shit. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness.
Hey,
On the other side is greatness. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. On the other side is greatness, 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 great, 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 great.
All really humane people admit that they're rascals. That's, you see, on the side of the not respectable, the selfish. But so also, all humane people should admit that they're jokers, that they're playing games and playing tricks. That I am doing it on you. I am most ready to admit this. I hoaxed you all into coming here to tell you what? It was a trap, you see, but I'm going to make it an entertaining trap, so that you won't feel so badly about it. Now, this is philosophy, but I think philosophy is like music. You go to a concert and you listen to somebody play Bach, or Mozart, or Beethoven. Akira. And what's wrong with it? You know, it isn't about anything except you know, that's what it's about. No, that's what it's about. And so, in the same way, as I conceive my work as a philosopher, I'm simply pointing out that existence is the same kind of a thing as the Bach invention. It's going this way and that way, and hills and waters going all out there, and the fish are going around in it, and breeding, and the ducks are... And that's the same thing as dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. So, if you can admit that that's what it's all about, you have a little problem. Because there's not only the threat that it really might be serious and that you shouldn't be laughing about it, but there's also a kind of opposite. Then are you saying it's merely just fiddling around? See? I mean, you're saying it's only a game? Is that all there is to it? Well, what do you think? You see, this again is a question that everybody has to think things through. What did you want? Didn't you want a game? Did you want it to be serious in the end? I mean, think about the question. What kind of a thing would you like God to be? What would you like to do for eternity? Really? You know, that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about.
You said that you lived the life of a monk. What does that mean? What does that look like? Why do you do that?
I stretch out every day for at least 2 hours. I don't drink. I don't go out. My regimen is I wake up, have oatmeal, run, come back, hit the weights. I'm a big sports guy. I don't leave the house at all, but do like this, and I stretch out time. I find people that I trust. It's a very small group of people who are honest and true to me, people who will die for me, and I'll die for them, which is a fucking small. And everybody else, man, you know, do you. And I say to myself, I let you do you. I don't judge people. I don't criticize you. You want to be a douchebag and be an ass and not live this country? Do you.
Do you.
Do you.
Twitchero Alex. Do you, Ross? Do you, Sheila D613, the place to be?
I don't care, man. I fought for this country for you to do you. And I am all about you doing you because I'm going to fucking do me.
Whoop.
And I'm going to do me until I'm fucking dead. I believe I earned the right. A lot of people have to earn the right. Just because you live in this country, I mean, you earn the right. You gotta live a little bit. Live. And then have something to say or shut the fuck up, you know?
That's right, baby.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey. Shut the fuck up.
Do you.
Hey. Do you. Do you, Black Rock Beacon?
Do you.
Do you, Cosmic Kangaroo?
Until I'm fucking dead.
Hey. Hey.
You know? Do you.
Do you, Robbie Cajun?
Do you.
Do you, Walking More Poet?
Do you. And I'm gonna do me until I'm fucking dead.
Hey. Ah. Swimming in the water. Swimming in the water. Swimming in the water. All the dark sound, yeah. Yo, what's cracking, baby? Good morning, welcome to the MeaningWave Morning Show. Hey, I told you how this goes, right? I wake up, I jump out of bed, I jump in the shower, I grab a coffee, I run up here, switch on the stuff. Sometimes it comes on right away, sometimes I have to reboot. If I'm ever like 5 minutes late, it's usually because like I had to reboot the computer. Yeah, I know, I need to get up earlier. I was up till, what was it, 1:30 last night? This morning. Tony, God bless Tony. Tony, who you might have seen on my stories the past few days, so I told you about. He came with his dogs and bought some of our remaining stuff from Los Angeles. Bless him. We went out and had a little look around Dripping Springs last night. Got in some adventures. And then set off in the wee hours of the morning. Set off on another adventure. God bless him, Godspeed him. You know, some things in your life, you know, that happen, you'll never forget. They're given you by people, you know. Sometimes people give you experiences. They give you experiences. Now, my friend Tony there, you know, I've known him from DJing in Los Angeles. I had a residency at a place called No Vacancy. You ran the back bar. You know, we became homies pretty quick. Every night we would hang out and have deep sort of conversations. You know, back when I was drinking, he would fix me like ridiculous drinks. He'd put CBD in them to try and get my body aching less. It was him I first told about wanting to move to Texas a couple years ago or something. He was pointing out last night, he was like, you know, you've been talking about this for a long time. I was like, yeah. And he always said to me, oh, you know, he's a Louisiana boy, good American boy. He always liked the fact that I was intent on integrating and assimilating the American culture. You know, I think if you're going to go live somewhere, you go live somewhere. You talk the language. You know, there's certain British people, they come to America and they're like, oh, it's not called sidewalk, it's pavement. Like, no, it's a pavement in the UK. Here it's a sidewalk. What are you trying to confuse people? Come on. And we always spoke about going shooting. It's like, oh, I'll take you shooting. We'll go out to the desert or something. Anyway, yesterday, he took us shooting. Me and Charlotte and Hercules. Night before, he stayed up and showed Hercules how to use a gun. Well, how to, like, assemble a gun. What each of the bits were, like it was a Lego set, you know? Then yesterday we went out and we had to go in a 12-gauge shotgun and an AR-15. Little Hercules got to shoot a gun as big as himself. Pop! I imagine he'll remember that forever. You know, you're a little 7-year-old boy. Guy who looks like Thor in a cowboy hat comes along. Two big dogs. The dog slept in Hercules' room, you know? I think you'd remember that as well. I'm never quite sure. I don't remember anything like before the age of 7. Hercules is 7. So I hope he remembers this stuff. Blair of Beacon says, guns kind of are a Lego set, just not quite so interchangeable. Sherry Hazelnut says nappy versus diaper. Yeah, exactly, right? We met some people yesterday that were fascinated by the slight differences in words. You know, what we got? Like, it's not a tank, it's a vest, right? Or the other way around. Truck, trunk. There's enough of them. But not so many that it makes much of a difference. And it really takes very little effort. It takes very little effort as an English-speaking person to slightly modify a few things. I do have to, like, overprint. I have to say water. They don't, even if you say water, like water, people still get that confused. But it's a small price to pay. It's a small price to pay for freedom.
Genie is the root word for genius. And it's a really interesting idea because there's this unlimited power that's associated with genius, but it's constrained.
Woo.
And that's really what the human spirit is like, because it has this aspect of the infinite, and it is something that can grant wishes, but it's also constrained terribly. I don't ask God for favors or for wishes. Or for wishes. You know? I don't ask God for favors. Or for wishes. Or for wishes. You know? Constrained mortally and physically and all that. But the thing is that both the infinite possibility and the constraint are necessary. Right? That's what makes up the genie. It has to be both at the same time. And the idea that, you know, if you find your genie, you can have your wishes. It's right. You have to really want what you're wishing for. Right? You have to make the proper sacrifices to get it. It can't be just some whim. You have to ask for something that you would rather not have, which is usually wisdom. Somebody asked me about prayer. They asked me if I prayed, and I thought, well, it depends on what you mean by that. Exactly. I don't ask God for favors or for wishes or for wishes. You know, I don't ask God for favors or for wishes or for wishes. You know, but I do think that if you sit on the edge of your bed and you ask what foolish thing you're doing to make it worse, that you'll get an answer right now. And it won't be the one you want, but it might be the one that if you listen to would set things straight. I don't think that I've ever been in a situation where if something wasn't going right for me and I sat and thought, okay, I'm willing to figure out what I'm doing wrong, which is a big thing to think because you never know how much you're doing wrong. It might be something that you really don't want to contend with. But if you clear some space to meditate on that probability that you'll figure out something that you did that was stupid, that's bending you and twisting you in the wind, you'll get an answer very, very rapidly. I don't ask God for favors or for wishes or for wishes. You know, I don't ask God for favors or for wishes or for wishes. You know, and it's not obvious how you do that. You know, I mean, it's not like you know how you're manipulating your neurons or something. It happens of its own accord in some sense, like you can participate in it, I guess, and you can interfere with it, and it seems to take a certain amount of willpower, but it still all happens mysteriously behind the scenes. And I would say this sort of attitude towards, let's say, prayer that we're discussing is just an extension of that. It's something like, well, you admit that there's a problem first, and then you ask for the minimum necessary intervention, which would be, all right, well, I'd like to move forward on this, some small amount that someone like me could actually manage. I'd be willing to carry it out. And then you reorient the way you're thinking as a consequence of that, and something usually pops out of the abyss to guide you. Very strange, but it's not really any stranger than the fact that we can think at all. Because the fact that we can think is actually very strange. Strange like the fact that we can dream is strange. And that's strange beyond belief that you can dream. Or that something in you dreams. Which is a much better way of thinking about it, because it's not like you're really in control of your dreams.
What up, baby? What up, brave citizens of the MAZ? How you feeling right now? I owe you an international high five. Yeah, I do. Tell me today. Tell me, baby, where did you come from to get to the MAZ this morning? What's the last thing you asked God for, huh? What's that last thing you sat down and asked? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's right, Milton Dan. That's right, baby. And there's lots of reasons for that. You know, I was speaking with a Texan lady. She was driving us, you know, in her car. And where we were before here came up. We've been having a nice conversation. When it transpired that we'd come here from LA, she got a little bit edgy, a little concerned. And her concern was this. Her concern, some people are like, you know, don't come here and vote for the same stuff that made you want to leave there, da, da, da. But her thing was like, and a lot of people I'm finding, she was like, not so much us because she thought we were quite nice, but she expressed some concern that this exodus of Los Angelinos this way, she hoped that it didn't dilute the civility here, because here people are very, very polite. People are very, very civil here, you know. People really take time. They call you sir, they call you mom, they're considerate, they hold doors, they, you know, they let you in the traffic, things of that nature. Like civility, politeness, neighborliness. These are all like very important values to the people, all the people I've met, you know. And yeah, the concern of this lady was people coming in from a place that doesn't hold that so high, you know, and diluting it, you know, because if it gets too diluted in one direction, it goes, it dies, it's gone. Who's there to hold, you know, who's there to keep it going? Mr. Rogers once said, certainly children don't have to like everyone in the world. No one does. But with the help of the grown-ups in their lives, they can learn to be neighborly, respectful, courteous, and kind. I read that last night and I thought, well, who will help the grown-ups? All the grown-ups who've forgotten how to be respectful, courteous, and kind. Or perhaps never got taught. Is there a generation in certain places, in certain cities, that have never been taught to be respectful, courteous, and kind? And has there been a poisoning of the overall civility of the world via corporations and television and politicians and all sorts of general capital T-H-E-Y types who seem to have deliberately engineered a situation where civility is spurned? It's very strange. It's very strange, and I think we should reject it. You know, I definitely think we should reject it wherever we see it. And, you know, the places we're most likely to see it is in our own actions. You know, that's as always, it's in your own, the domain of your own influence that you have most power, you know? And that's where you should be paying attention. You cannot control others, but you can control yourself. So, you know, make sure, all of us, and this is to me, this is to all of us, you know, let's make sure we're being as civil and kind and neighborly as we can at all times. In doing so, we can make that better world, baby. Blessed be. Do it. Because it's hard. It takes will and effort. But Cherry Hazelnut says, dang it, God has given me everything I've ever wanted, except for those winning lottery numbers. Ha! Cosmic Kangaroo Australia asked for MeaningWave to exist. Wish granted, MeaningWave exists! Hoorah! Rob DeCajun, Morning for Chicago, asked God for calm. Hey, look, you've got some calm right now. Some nice calm. RBRB1234 in Jerusalem, I ask God for the ability to see the good in situations and make the best of challenges. That's an excellent thing to ask for. Did you get it? The Man Stack, Texas, asked for challenges, the chance to work, fail, succeed, and grow. Nice. Cosmic Kangaroo says, I just spent my first weekend in a city. It was a very strange experience. People are very different when there are so many others around. Yeah, you ever read that experiment they did? They've done a lot of these experiments now, which worked out. There's this weird thing that happens when someone's getting attacked or assaulted or something. If there are other people around, people are very less likely to intervene or do anything about it at all. Way less likely. If you've got a situation where you've got like a council block with one of those courtyards, they had some situation, someone got murdered in the middle of it, in front of everybody, and people were out there on their, no one did anything. And the reason is because when there's other people just assume someone else will do something about it. And that's cities, there's so many people at any given time, everybody assumes that someone else is going to do something about it. Pass a guy lying on the floor, vomit down himself. Oh, someone else will deal with this. Trash on the street, someone else will deal with this. Misspelled graffiti on the side of the building, someone else will deal with this. Smashed up windows, someone else will deal with this. You know, I live out in the country in Dripping Springs now. I look out my window, you know, there's a very small amount of people around here. And I see a lady from the road, and she's just walking down the road with a little, one of those sticks with a claw on the end of it, just picking up bits of leaves and twigs. She's not employed to do that. No one's paying her to do that. She just does it because she feels it's her neighborly civil duty to just tidy up a bit, you know? Rambo 5000 says, I correct graffiti spelling. Nice. Nice. I think that's an important thing. I think we need like vigilantes, masked vigilantes out there sorting out the bad graffiti. You know? Dan Frank says, I came from a post-apocalyptic dreamscape, roaming a vast wasteland in search of the last vestiges of human familiarity. Did you find it? Cherry hazelnuts, in the end, love is all that matters. That's the whole point of life. That's right. That's right. Spencer Grove, right, nobody does anything because they expect others to. I think they already did. That's why the Gary V, everything is my fault attitude is so powerful. Yeah, young stoic lord. That's right. Extreme personal responsibility. Clean up your room. Clean up your vicinity. Take responsibility. Very epic, very powerful. Be kind. Be neighborly. Wave at people. Here's Texas, everybody waves. You wave at everyone, and everyone waves at you. You wave at people, and they wave back at you. Hi, human. I'm a human too. Hey, I respect and recognize your humanity. Here's a smile. Everybody. Everybody. Don't take much, baby. Just takes will and effort. Will and effort.
Biggest, most disgustingly selfish vehicles driven by the ugliest, most inconsiderate and aggressive drivers. And I can think about how our children's children will despise us for wasting all the future's fuel and probably screwing up the climate, and how spoiled and stupid and selfish and disgusting we all are, and how modern consumer society just sucks, and so on and so forth. You get the idea.
If I choose to think this way in the store and on the freeway, fine. Lots of us do. Except thinking this way tends to be so easy and automatic that it doesn't have to be a choice. It is my natural default setting. It's the automatic way that I experience the boring, frustrating, crowded parts of adult life when I'm operating on the automatic, unconscious belief that I am the center of the world and that my immediate needs and feelings are what should determine the world's priorities. The thing is that, of course, there are totally different ways to think about these kinds of situations. In this traffic, all these vehicles stuck and idling in my way, it's not impossible that some of these people in SUVs have been in horrible auto accidents in the past and now find driving so terrifying that their therapist is all but ordered them to get a huge, heavy SUV so they can feel safe enough to drive. Or that the Hummer that just cut me off is maybe being driven by a father whose little child is hurt or sick in the seat next to him, and he's trying to get this kid to the hospital. And he's in a way bigger, more legitimate hurry than I am. It is actually I who am in his way. Or I can choose to force myself to consider the likelihood that everyone else in the supermarket's checkout line is just as bored and frustrated as I am. And that some of these people probably have much harder, more tedious or painful lives than I do. Again, please don't think I'm giving you moral advice, or that I'm saying you're supposed to think this way, or that anyone expects you to just automatically do it. Because it's hard. It takes will and effort.
You should do it.
Because it's hard. It takes will and effort. And if
we didn't do the international high five, we just talked about it, but we didn't do it. We do need to do it. Particularly at a beautiful emotional moment like this. You know what to do. To bind your energies together across space and time, together with all of us. You just gotta cock back. Ooh. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, baby. There you go, there you go.
do it.
Hey.
Because it's hard. It takes will and effort.
Do it.
Because it's hard. It takes will and effort. And if you were like me, some days you won't be able to do it, or you just flat out won't want to. But most days, if you're aware enough to give yourself a choice, you can choose to look differently at this fat, dead-eyed, over-made-up lady who just screamed at her kid in the checkout line. Maybe she's not usually like this. Maybe she's been up 3 straight nights holding the hand of her husband who's dying of bone cancer. Or maybe this very lady is the low-wage clerk at the motor vehicles department who just yesterday helped your spouse resolve a horrific, infuriating red tape problem through some small act of bureaucratic kindness. Of course, none of this is likely, but it's also not impossible. It just depends what you want to consider. If you're automatically sure that you know what reality is and who and what is really important, if you want to operate on your default setting, then you, like me, probably won't consider possibilities that aren't annoying and miserable. But if you really learn how to think, how to pay attention, then you will know you have other options. Do it. Because it's hard. It takes will and effort. Do it. Because it's hard. It takes will and effort. It will actually be within your power to experience a crowded, hot, slow, consumer hell type situation as not only meaningful, but sacred. On fire with the same force that lit the stars. Love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things deep down. On fire with the same force that lit the stars. Love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things deep down. Not that that mystical stuff's necessarily true. The only thing that's capital T true is that you get to decide how you're going to try to see it. on fire with the same force that lit the stars. Love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things deep down, on fire with the same force that lit the stars. Love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things deep down.
Cause it's hard, takes will and effort. Do it, cause it's hard, takes will and effort. Make some noise, MAZ. All them wave emojis right now.
This, I think, is freedom of real education, of learning how to be well-adjusted. You get to consciously decide.
Perfect. What has meaning? 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 Aye, what has meaning? 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 What has meaning?
Perfect. You get to decide what to worship. Because here's something else that's weird but true. In the day-to-day trenches of adult life, there is actually no such thing as atheism. There is no such thing as not worshiping. Everybody worships. The only choice we get is what to worship. And the compelling reason for maybe choosing some sort of God or spiritual type thing to worship, be it JC or Allah, be it Yahweh or the Wiccan mother goddess, or the Four Noble Truths, or some inviolable set of ethical principles, is that pretty much anything else you worship will eat you alive. If you worship money and things, if they are where you tap real meaning in life, then you will never have enough. Never feel you have enough. It's the truth. Worship your own body and beauty and sexual allure, and you will always feel ugly. And when time and age start showing, you will die a million deaths before they finally plant you. On one level, we all know this stuff already. It's been codified as myths, proverbs, cliches, epigrams, parables. The skeleton of every great story. What has meaning? And what doesn't?
Perfect. What has meaning? And what doesn't? You got to consciously decide what has meaning. What has meaning? 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 Hey. Make some noise, MAZ. All them wave emojis right now. Flood. Perfect.
The trick is keeping the truth up front in daily consciousness. Worship power, you will end up feeling weak and afraid. And you will need ever more power over others to numb you to your own fear. Worship your intellect, being seen as smart, you will end up feeling stupid, a fraud, always on the verge of being found out. Look, the insidious thing about these forms of worship is not that they're evil or sinful. It is that they are unconscious. They are default settings. They're the kind of worship you just gradually slip into. day after day, getting more and more selective about what you see and how you measure value without ever being fully aware that that's what you're doing. Real world will not discourage you from operating on your default settings, because the so-called real world of men and money and power comes merrily along on the fuel of fear and anger and frustration and craving and the worship of self. Our own present culture has harnessed these forces in ways that have yielded extraordinary wealth and comfort and personal freedom. The freedom all to be lords of our own tiny skull-sized kingdoms, alone at the center of all creation. This kind of freedom has much to recommend it. But of course, there are all different kinds of freedom. And the kind that is most precious, you will not hear much talked about much in the great outside world of wanting and achieving and displaying. The really important kind of freedom involves attention and awareness and discipline, and being able truly to care about other people and to sacrifice for them over and over in myriad petty little unsexy ways every day. That is real freedom. That is being educated and understanding how to think. The alternative is unconsciousness, the default setting, the rat race, the constant gnawing sense of having had and lost some infinite thing. I know that this stuff probably doesn't sound fun and breezy or grandly inspirational the way a commencement speech is supposed to sound. What it is, as far as I can see, is the capital T truth with a whole lot of rhetorical niceties stripped away. You are, of course, free to think of it whatever you wish. But please don't just dismiss it as some finger-wagging Dr. Laura sermon. None of this stuff is really about morality or religion or dogma or big fancy questions of life after death. The capital T truth is about life before death. It is about the real value of a real education, which has almost nothing to do with knowledge and everything to do with simple awareness. Awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight all around us all the time, that we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over, this is water. 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 This is water.
It's unimaginably hard to do this. To stay conscious and alive in the adult world, day in and day out. Which means yet another grand cliche turns out to be true. Your education really is the job of a lifetime. And it commences now.
What has meaning and what doesn't.
What has meaning? What doesn't? You get to consciously decide what has meaning. What has meaning? 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 What has meaning?
I wish you were able to talk.
What has meaning? What has meaning? What has meaning?
I wish you
What
were
has
able to
meaning?
talk.
What has meaning? What has meaning? What has meaning?
I wish you were able to talk.
What has meaning? What has meaning?
I wish you were
What
able
has
to
meaning?
talk.
Every social animal, and even many animals who aren't social, are embedded in a dominance hierarchy.
Okay, let's go.
The dominance hierarchy has a structure. We couldn't call it a dominance hierarchy. Dominance hierarchy A, B, C, thousands of them across thousands of years. What's central to all of them? That's the pyramid of value. What question do you need answered about the pyramid of value? ideal. That's the eye at the top of the pyramid. The golden Buddha in the lotus. It's the same thing. The same thing as the crucifix. And that has to do with something like the voluntary acceptance and therefore transcendence of suffering. 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 The voluntary acceptance and therefore transcendence of suffering. These are not arbitrary ideas. They're deeply rooted in biology and culture. They're as deeply rooted in biology as the dominance hierarchy is rooted in biology. And we already know the answer to that. The dominance hierarchy has been around for 350 million years. It's a long time. You don't get to just brush that off and say, well, morality is some sort of second-order cognitive problem. It's like, no, it's not. You have a counter at the bottom of your brain that keeps track of where you are in terms of your status, and it bloody well regulates the sensitivity of your emotions. So if you're at the bottom of the hierarchy, barely clinging on to the world, everything overwhelms you, and that's because you're damn near dead. And so everything should overwhelm you. You've got no extra resources. You're sunk. And if you're nearer the top, then your serotonin levels go up. You're less sensitive to negative emotion. You're less impulsive. You live longer. Everything works in your favor. Your immune system functions better, and you're oriented at least to some degree towards the medium and long-term future. And you can afford that because all hell isn't breaking loose around you all the time. And so then the question is there a way of being that increases the probability that you're going to move up dominance hierarchies? Well, that doesn't seem to be a particularly provocative proposition. The same thing as the crucifix. And that has to do with something like the voluntary acceptance and therefore transcendence of suffering. 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 The voluntary acceptance and therefore transcendence of suffering. Okay, so back to Jung. See, Jung believed that once we had stopped populating the cosmos with gods, that they went inside. Think about it this way. Archaic person looks at the sky. His imagination to populate the sky. What's the sky? Well, it's the constellations. It's the domain of the gods. Well, why? Because the gods are what are out there beyond your understanding. Well, that's what you see when you look up at the sky. So you populate the night sky with figures of your imagination. So the gods are the things that you broadcast out of your imagination and see spread over the world. It's like the contents of your unconscious are manifesting themselves when you encounter the unknown. It's exactly what it is. How else could it be? You're projecting your fantasy onto what you don't understand. That's how you start to cope with what you don't understand. You populate the unknown with deity. Where did they come from? They came from your imagination. Well, what happens when you take them out of the world? Do they disappear? No, they just go back into your imagination. That's the same motif as rescuing your dead father from the belly of the whale. Belly of the whale. Belly of the whale. Rescuing your dead father from the belly of the whale. Belly of the whale. Belly of the whale. Rescuing your dead father from the belly of the whale. Belly of the whale. It's the same idea. Is that the corpses of the gods inhabit your imagination. So where do you go if you need to revivify them? You go into your imagination.
That's right, baby. Go into your imagination. Go right into that imagination. Hey, maybe you could close your eyes and go to sleep and go in there if you're having trouble in the daytime. Sherry Hazelnut says you can telecommunicate in dreams. I do believe I've heard of that happening. You know? Gaming with Leo said I had a glitch in the Matrix while dreaming last night. I ran into someone I didn't know. And we were both aware we were in the same dream world. And we were like, what the fuck? He was an African dude, and he was like in some dream quest, and was just on a porch, and we looked at each other and made eye contact and laughed. So there you go. There you go, baby. Go into your imagination. Go into that dream world. Just make sure you're polite. You know? Polite and civil. Someone was saying earlier, one of the things they don't like about these face masks is you can't see people smiling. I disagree. Here's the thing. When you're really smiling, you smile with your eyes too. A fake smile just uses the mouth. Or a forced smile. But a real smile, that has the eyes too, and it's unmistakable. You know, take a picture of a smiling person and remove the mouth, you can still tell they're smiling. A real smile will come through, don't you worry about a thing. It was something I was thinking about just yesterday. Real smile comes through. The real smile comes through. Hey. Spencer Grove says today's theme then is politeness. Be polite and sincere in your politeness. Civil, neighborly. I think neighborly is a good word. I think neighborly. Maybe I need to do more Mr. Rogers music. Neighborliness encompasses, you know, it encompasses politeness, consideration, kindness. Consideration. That involves things like compromise. All of these things that keep our civilization together and stop us collapsing into the void. Let's be good neighbors, baby. You're all good neighbors, MAZ. All of you. I see you come in here. You know, when it's YouTube, you smash the like. When it's Twitch, you engage in the Twitch emoji culture. You assimilate the culture of the various places. Everywhere has its own customs, and you guys do assimilate, I've noticed, and I appreciate that. Assimilation is a beautiful thing. That's being neighborly. You know, to use the words like, if you're in America and say sidewalk and not pavement, that's just neighborly. That's just considerate. So thank you for being such a good neighbor today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your love and your kindness, and of course your support. If you want to support the wave, you know what to do. You can become a member of the channel. You can make a one-time donation via the link below. You can go to MeaningWave.com and buy fine merch like this, a fine MeaningWave hoodie like this, or you could buy some Get That Good Feeling stuff. You could get that good feeling and get a Get That Good Feeling face mask, because people can still see your eyes, smile. You get some shorts, get some swimming shorts too, so you can go swimming. So you can go jump in a lake, jump off a bridge. You know, just take a bath in some fine shorts. Some people do that. Some people have a bath in shorts. I've heard of it. You can smash that proverbial like. You can share that link. You can go to Spotify and run up all the playlists. Yeah, you can. You can knock politely on your neighbor's door and say, excuse me, neighbor. Good news. MeaningWave exists! And that would be very neighborly of you. And you can join me for a by 5. Yes, you can. We'll be back at 7 p.m. CT. In that time, I hope to have achieved more in the building of the studio, in the completion of the Rogan album. It's going to be a busy, beautiful day, baby. Beautiful days to be alive and get after it here at the peak of recorded human civilization. Thank you all for being here. Cock back, baby, cock back.
It's good, Don is good, Don is good.
3, 2, 1. Ooh. Spinning bird kick.
He's on fire!
God bless.